Hello and welcome to High Voltage Engineering. We'll be talking about a new topic called the generation of high voltages and current. This would be the module 2. Okay, so first we'll discuss what are the topics we are going to cover here. So the topics here would be we are considering we'll cover generation of direct current voltages, that is generation of high DC voltages, generation of high AC voltages. Okay, generation of impulse voltages, then we'll consider generation of impulses, then we'll talk about currents, tripping and control of impulse generators. Now just a brief idea of what is this. We are talking about the high direct current voltages. That means these direct DC voltages, these are basically electrostatic voltages but of a high value. Okay, then we'll consider the production of high alternating voltages. Now impulse voltages are voltages which are which last for a short period of time. It is called an impulse. Okay, it do not retain for a long period of time, unlike the DC or the AC voltages. And we'll talk about the different impulse voltages and impulse currents, and then the control of this impulse voltages and currents. Okay, now as for the introduction of these topics, you need to understand that these high voltages, let it be AC, DC or impulse, have several different application. Like these, for example, the electron microscope and X-ray units require a high DC voltage of the order of 100 kilovolts or more. So the X-ray units, the electron microscope, which are being heavily used in the modern society, require high voltages. Even the electrostatic precipitators, particle accelerators and nuclear physics require high voltages. Now what are these electrostatic precipitators? You might have the idea of these. When the some gases pass through a certain to a certain chamber in order to purify the gas. Let's say the gas contains different particles which are charged. Okay, so in order to purify the gas, a high voltage is applied across the gas, and this high voltage will attract all the charged particles, and these are called the electrostatic precipitators. In order to create this high voltage, again you need the production of high voltages. Again, the high AC voltages of 1 million volts or even more than that are required for testing of power apparatus rated for extra high transmission voltage of 400 kV system and above. Now all the power apparatus what we see all the apparatus from the transformers to cables and transmission lines and whatnot, all these apparatus that are used for high voltage transmission, those should be insulated and they should be tested for a high voltage. So in order to test that, multiple times of their capabilities of value will be applied over them, and hence it is being tested. So again, the production of high voltage is necessary here. Now the high impulse voltage are required for testing purposes to simulate over voltage and to that occur in power system due to lightning or switching action. Now in order to simulate, we cannot predict when the lightning will occur and how much effect it will be felt on the apparatus. We need to simulate it in order to protect and insulate the apparatus and provide protection against the lightning or system surges. So for these purposes, high voltage are also required. Okay. Now for electrical engineers, the main concern of high voltages is for insulation testing of various components of power system for different types of voltages, namely power frequency AC, high frequency AC switching or lightning impulses. So for us in electrical engineers, it's basically all kind of insulation testing. Okay, so this testing can be of different, the voltages applied for the testing can be of different types. It can be of the voltage which is of power frequency, that means which is the normal frequency of transmission. It can be voltages of a high frequency, or it can be an AC switching or lightning impulse. We give a very high voltage surge for a small instant of time. These voltages are called impulses, which I have told you previously. These are also used in order to test the apparatus. Okay. Now we'll come to the actual first part of the module 2 of the generation of high voltages and current. We are considering generation of direct current voltages, direct current and voltages. So the generation of DC voltage, we'll talk about generation of DC voltages here. So see now why are these DC voltages required? We need to understand that. So let us talk about the usages of DC voltages. So mainly required in the research work in the areas of pure and applied physics, and high direct voltages are needed in the insulation tests of cables and capacitors. The impulse generator charging also require high DC voltages for about 100 to 200 kV. So there are three uses here. First of all, it is uses for the applied physics, where high voltages, static voltages, DC voltages is basically a static voltage. The voltage do not change, is required for the applied physics purposes. Now next application is the DC voltage are used for insulation testing of cables and capacitors. Okay. The next is that they are used for the impulse generator charging units. Okay. So when there is an impulse generator, in order to charge those impulse generator, you need DC voltages. Okay. Now we'll talk about the basic generation. Normally, for the generation of DC voltages up to 100 kV, the electronic valve rectifiers are used and the output currents are about 100 milliamperes. So up to 100 kV electronic valve rectifiers, I think you have we have the knowledge of how rectifiers work. So here electronic valve rectifiers can be used for up to a voltage of 100 kV. The rectifier valve requires special construction for cathode and filament, since high electrostatic field of several kilovolt per centimeter exists between the anode and the cathode in the non-conducting period. So for these type of generation of high voltage, this rectifier should be of a special construction. Okay, so that it can withstand this amount of high voltage. The AC supply to the rectifier tubes may be of power frequency or may be of audio frequency from an oscillator. Now these AC, you know what a rectifier does? Rectifier converts AC to DC. So the input AC can be of power frequency or audio frequency that is generated by an oscillator. Okay. The latter is used when the ripple of very small magnitude is required without the use of costly filters to smoothen the ripple. So when do we require an audio frequency value? The audio frequency is a high frequency value. So when do we require a high frequency value? When we require a very small change in small ripple. Ripple is what we have whenever you convert an AC to DC. AC is an alternating voltage. So when it converts to AC to DC, it do not give you a purely straight line, horizontal straight line as in DC. It gives some ripples. Now depending on the frequency of the AC, the ripple value will change. Now if we require a DC with a very small ripple, but without any using of a filter, the input AC voltage of a very high frequency is used. Okay. Now we'll talk about the topics we are going to study in the generation of DC voltages. Now we are talking about the generation of DC voltages. So we'll talk about half and full wave rectifier circuits, where we'll be talking about the ripple voltages with the half and full wave rectifier. So first we'll discuss about the half and full wave rectifier circuit, then we'll talk about the ripple voltage of them. Okay, then we'll talk about a voltage doubler circuit. So by the name itself you can understand it creates the double the voltage that is being provided. Then we'll talk about much more usable circuit is called the voltage multiplier circuit. So in the voltage multiplier circuit we'll be talking about different topics such as ripples in the cascade voltage multiplier circuit. We'll calculate how the ripples is calculated. Then we'll see the voltage drop on a load and regulation of this multiplier circuit. So what is the voltage drop if when there is a load in this circuit. Then we'll talk about the two different types of multiplier circuit: single phase 2 pulse cascade multiplier and 3 phase 6 pulse cascade multiplier. So you have two types of voltage multiplier circuit: single phase 2 pulse cascade multiplier and 3 phase 6 pulse cascade multiplier. Okay, so we'll start with the half and full wave rectifier circuits. So the rectifier circuit for the production of DC voltages from AC source can be a half wave, it can be a full wave, and can be a voltage doubler type rectifier. Okay, now we will talk about the construction. The rectifier can be an electron tube or a solid state device. So it can be either a tube, valve, or a solid state transistor type. Okay, the single electron tubes are available for the peak inverse voltage of up to 250 kV semiconductor, or solid state diodes up to 20 kV. Okay, so it can be either if we use the electron tubes, then the voltage in the market you will get up to 250 kV, or in the solid state diodes you will get 20 kV. This is the peak inverse voltages. For higher voltages, several units are to be used in series. So you can go only up to 250 or 20 kV, but if you want to higher kV, we'll use these elements in series. When a number of units are used in series, the transient voltage distribution along each unit become non-uniform, and special care should be taken to make the distribution uniform. So when we go from, we can use these elements in series, the voltages, those are transient voltages inside that. What are these transient voltages? Transient voltages are voltages that are during for a particular period of time which is changing. So since we are converting AC to DC here, for a small period of time the change in the AC voltages is reflected on the apparatus, the rectifier. Now since one rectifier is connected to the other, then is connected to the other, so the first rectifier, the change in voltage what the first rectifier will see will not be seen by the second rectifier, will not be seen by the third rectifier, and so on. So the transient of voltages, since is not felt same for the different rectifiers, each rectifier will rectify in a different manner. So you will not get a uniform distribution. Ideally each rectifier should do the rectification uniformly, but since they are connected in series, okay, the one rectifier just next to the previous one will not give the same rectification as the previous one. So there should be arrangement so that you get a uniform distribution. So we'll talk about commonly used half wave rectifier. Now from this diagram, this is very common half wave rectifier. So you have an AC input from the left hand side, it goes to a rectifier, and where the rectifier is connected to a load. there is a capacitor there. So what is the use of this capacitor? The capacitor is used as to smoothen the wave. Since the capacitor, when the let's say when the AC is in the positive phase, so the diode will be active, so the AC will charge both the load as well as the capacitor. Now when we remove the remove the AC input during the negative half of the cycle, the charged capacitor is going to charge the load in the same direction. So it is actually used to reduce the amount of ripples in the DC. So it is just been explained like that the capacitor is charged to a voltage of Vmax, the maximum AC voltage, to a secondary of the high voltage transformer in the conduction half of the cycle. So this positive half is the conduction half of the cycle. In the other half of the cycle, the capacitor is discharged into the load. So what I told you, the value of the capacitor is chosen such that the time constant, what is the time constant of the capacitor? C into RL. RL is the load and C is the capacitor. Capacitance of the capacitor is less than 10. Less than 10 times that of the period of the AC supply. Why it is that? Okay, so less is the time constant. Okay, less is the time constant, the faster it will take to charge, it to take to discharge. Okay, so it should be at least 10 times less than the time period of the AC. So for example, if we input an AC of 50 Hertz, what should be the time constant? At least 500. Okay, C into RL should be, sorry, it's 50 Hertz, that means it is 20 millisecond. So 20 into 5 is 100 milliseconds should be the time constant for this capacitor circuit. The rectifier valve must have a peak inverse rating of at least 2 Vmax. That means obviously the rectifier circuit that is being used should withstand twice the maximum of the AC voltage. Okay, because in the negative part of the circuit, the rectifier rectifier will be affected with twice the maximum of the AC circuit. To limit the charging current, an additional resistance R is provided in series with the secondary of the transformer. So in order to reduce the charging current, an additional resistance is being used. Okay, now we'll talk about the full wave rectifier. Full wave rectifier is similar, but it has it works in two sides because it takes care of both of the positive halves of the cycle and the negative half of the cycle. So in the positive half of the cycle, the rectifier A, just look at the figure, conducts and charges the capacitor C, while in negative half of the circle, rectifier B conducts and charges the capacitor. The source transformer requires a center tap secondary with a rating of 2 V. So whatever voltage is applied, the center tap secondary should be rated for a voltage of 2 V. Okay, now we'll talk about another type, that is, we have talked about the valve type. Now it can be of semiconductor rectifier stacks. In the modern high voltage laboratories and testing installations, semiconductor rectifier stacks are commonly used for the production of DC voltages. Previously, this valves were used, but in the modern times, semiconductors are used because they take a lot less amount of space and they have a lot less maintenance. Semiconductor diodes are not true valves since they have finite but very small conduction in the backward direction. So the problem with the semiconductor is that they have a small but finite amount of backward current. The more commonly preferred diode for high voltage rectifiers are silicon diodes with peak inverse voltage PIV of 1 kV to 2 kV. So for the semiconductor rectifier diodes, the most commonly used are silicon diodes. Remember that. However, for laboratory application, the current requirement is small, a few milliamperes or less than that, and as such, selenium element stack with PIV of 500 kV may be employed without use of any voltage grading capacitors. So in laboratories, you have to just keep in mind that normally the silicon types are used with PIV of 1 to 2 kV. In laboratories which have a small current requirement, they use selenium element stacks with a PIV of 500 kV. Okay. Now we'll talk about the ripple voltages with half wave and full wave rectifiers. Now, as I have discussed previously, ripples are nothing but undulations in the output. When we convert AC to DC, we do not get a pure DC, but a DC with small variations. Okay, so when a full wave or half wave rectifier is used along with this smoothing capacitor C, the voltage on the no load will be maximum AC voltage. So at no load, this voltage will be the maximum as the AC voltage. So when let's say a 230 volt AC system is applied to rectifier, so with a capacitor, smoothing capacitor C, so if it is connected to a no load, what is the voltage being seen on the output side? It would be 230 volt only. But when on load, the capacitor gets charged from the supply voltage and discharges into a load resistance RL whenever the supply voltage waveform varies from peak value to a zero value. Okay, now we are talking about the loaded condition. During the positive half, the capacitor gets charged from the supply voltage and it then discharges during the negative half of the supply negative half when the supply voltage reduces from the peak value to a zero value. So when loaded, a fluctuations in the output DC voltage delta V appears and it's called a ripple. So this small change in the delta voltage delta V is called the ripple. The ripple voltage delta V is larger for a half wave rectifier than for a full wave rectifier, since the discharge period in the case of half wave rectifier is larger. So you have to keep in mind the ripple voltage, that is the delta V, the change in small voltage value, that is higher for a single phase than for a double phase. So on the right hand side, here you have these diagrams of the ripple diagrams. So you see that the input is a sine wave. Okay, now for a half wave you can see the output. So the output have the ripple, you can see the change of delta V. So after every positive half, the voltage slowly decreases from the maximum voltage. Again for the next half, for the next half, the voltage is again decreased. Okay, for every next half the voltage is again decreased. Now you can see why we talked about the time constant should be 10 times more. So if you have a more time constant, it takes a longer amount of time for the current to reduce. So longer amount of current will be amount of time taken for the current to reduce will decrease the ripple. But whereas here this ripple will be you can see the ripple delta for the single phase, for the half wave, it will be much more or less, it will be much more than that from the double phase or full wave rectifier, because the appearance of the next ripple is closer than the half wave rectifier. So you can see the ripple voltage delta V depends on the supply voltage frequency F is time constant of C, the capacitor and resistor circuit, the reactance of the supply transformer XL. Also the reactance is there because the supply transformer will create a reactance, and that might lead or lag the current. So for a half wave rectifier, the ripple frequency is equal to the supply frequency, and for the full wave rectifier it is twice than that of that value. Okay. The ripple voltage is to be kept as low as possible with the proper choice of filter capacitor and the transformer reactance for a given load RL. So at this time we should keep in mind, so there are certain concepts you have to keep in mind. One is the time constant of the smoothing capacitor should be at least 10 times that of the supply frequency 1. Next point is that the half wave, the ripple for a half wave rectifier is more than the ripple of the full wave rectifier. Okay, the frequency of the half wave, the ripple frequency of the half wave rectifier is the AC frequency of the supply, but the ripple frequency of the full wave rectifier is double the AC frequency of the supply. Okay, now this is the end of this lecture. We'll be talking about the derivation of ripples of the half wave full wave rectifier in the next class. Thank you so much.